and speak to the organisation's Chief Legal Officer. It's always a pleasure, Advocate Stefanie Fick. Advocate Fick, good morning to you. So we're taking this to court, it looks like you are, later in the year to try and fight this. However, come the 1st of July, it seems all systems go, but no one has any idea how the system works.
Well, that I don't think that it all systems go. Firstly, one must remember that this act can only commence once the date has been published in the Government Gazette by the President, and that hasn't been done. So, the Minister can shout from the rooftops that AARTO will start, will start on the 1st of July, and I think he had good intentions. But I really think at this point, I just need to say that I think he put the cart before the horse yet again. I do not think that, RTIA and everybody is ready for a nationwide rollout of AARTO. So let's start there. We, as an organisation, we do not believe that AARTO will start on the 1st of July. And even if they sneak in a date and publish it somewhere, that we will have practical implications and problems with AARTO, because of just purely that this is a difficult system. And we've seen that previously they had administrative problems. It was a total failure in Tshwane and Joburg, and I say this with love and respect. And now they want to roll it out nationwide, and without fixing the problems, you're going to sit with exactly the same.
Can you just try and give me a sense, Advocate, just while you explain the legal wranglings you are going to take on behalf of all drivers in South Africa, can you explain to me how the system is supposed to work? Leading into that, of course, Advocate, you can tell me what is making this unconstitutional and what you're hoping the courts are going to do later in the year?
Well, let's start with the unconstitutionality, because we are saying that the whole act is unconstitutional, purely because we believe that the national government is usurping, province, but more so local governments, let's call it authority. Local government can govern themselves in certain instances in terms of our constitution, and we believe by creating this national, it's the appeals tribunal, it's RTIA representations on a national level, that you're sort of taking the power away from local government, and that if we are successful, it will obviously means that AARTO and the AARTO Amendment Act is unconstitutional. But there are also practical problems. And although, in principle, in a nutshell, if you take away, South Africa and our social economic circumstances, this is a program that I think, if I'm not mistaken, was quite successful in Australia. But you can't say South Africa is like Australia. I think we are talking about a totally different country. And it's supposed to, I think, because it concentrates on minor offences. It doesn't concentrate on drunken drivings and wreck and necklace drivers and so forth. It's minor offences, parking and so forth. So it is supposed to, as an administrative process, and specifically the AARTO Amendment Act, to keep people out of the criminal justice system, but there are problems. In the sense that it's a very elaborate system. I mean, you're talking about an infringement notice. After 32 days, you get a courtesy letter. After 32 days, you might get an enforcement order. You can ask for revocation. These are words I'm throwing around, but it is a difficult system. So on the one hand, if you are a law-abiding citizen, you probably have less to worry about, because we know that if the demerit system is implemented, you may lose your license and so forth if you have an enormous amount of demerit systems. But what you should be scared of is that you may not get your infringement notices and so forth. Right. And what will happen then? Yeah.
So, because that's been the issue up to now, hasn't it? There've been fines handed out, and depending, you may get your fines via the post. You may have registered on some system to get it via SMS, but then you've changed your cell phone number. Maybe it's via email, but you've changed email addresses. So I imagine then, Advocate, that's where this is all going to get complicated, and people may end up losing their licenses. If I understand, there's 12 points. Once those are accumulated, you could lose your license. It could be suspended for up to 3 months, and it may happen without you even realizing. In the final minute that I have with you, Advocate, it's the communication and the handling of the notices, which I think is going to upset a lot of people.
That's correct. They did change. We also believe that that's a bit unconstitutional, the way that they're going to send you your notices. When we attack, attack this legislation, saying that it's unconstitutional because of the way that they can now serve it, they say that we are, moving forward. One should be able to communicate via, electronic sort of communications. But then you sit with a problem, for example, currently in Ekurhuleni, where they had to, you could object to your valuation role. People had to go into the office. So I'm not so sure that even though, we are saying that, email and SMSs and all of that is a good thing, that it will actually happen. But what worries us further is all of this, whether you serve in person, via email, it's all based on the eNCA system, where your information is gathered. So many people have said, they change their personal details, but it never is changed on eNCA. There's so many duplicated cards on eNCA. If you do not fix the basis on which you want to do law enforcement, it is not going to work, and people's rights are going to be infringed.
So come the 1st of July, it's supposed to happen. By the sounds of it, though, Advocate, it's going to be a lot messier, I think, than what the Transport Department is hoping for. From Outa, I appreciate the insight, and I'm sure South African motorists appreciate you taking on the fight on their behalf. Advocate Stefanie Fick from Outa talking to us about the new AARTO system meant to come in on the